Happy Friday, everybody. My name is Angela Hooper-Menifield, and I am the Chief Equipping Officer of Menifield and Associates and also founder of the B.E.S.T Supervisory Academy and Symposium. And our B.E.S.T, B-E-S-T, is an acronym. It's an acronym for Building and Equipping Supervisors and Teams. And so today is the last day of the week, and we are here with our final live for the week. And as many of you know, due to the work that I do, hey, Kelly, how are you, my friend? The work that we do in human resources and consulting, and also working with new supervisors, oftentimes topics come up that I think resonate and I want to bring them to the showcase. And so today, actually, on IBGR radio, we did a show talking about position descriptions. And so I wanted to bring it here to the social media platform because I know oftentimes as supervisors and managers, we don't have an opportunity to listen to different podcasts and radio shows, but maybe this content could add some value. So I wanted to talk just a little bit about, position descriptions. Whether you're an entrepreneur and, many of us as entrepreneurs, we start out as a team of one. But as our business grows, we have to grow our staffing. And part of that includes creating, some type of hierarchy, ensuring that the scope of work is understood by the person who's supposed to do it. Creating levels of pay, right? Whether that's pay bands, pay groups. And so this is where the need for position descriptions begins to really come into play. Now, for people who originally started with some kind of hierarchy or some systems, what I would say is you probably already had position descriptions, and maybe this talk will just help you make them better. Actually, really, even before we recruit for a position within our organizations, it should be based on the verbiage of the position descriptions. I know oftentimes in organizations, we don't even think about updating the position descriptions until a position that was previously held by one person becomes vacated to another. And so it just gives us something to think about. So let's talk a little bit about position descriptions. Now, some of you may be wondering exactly what is a position description. Well, it defines a position by the group of duties and responsibilities that require the services of an employee, and that's part-time or full-time. And so we see this as a structured document assigning work to a given position as it is expected to be performed after customary orientation and training. Now, I want to pause here because if you'll listen, it says position description. One of the most common errors that organizations and individuals make is we associate the verbiage with the position description with the person. Position descriptions should be independent of people, which is why, again, it can be a great vehicle to hire or recruit from. Oftentimes we put duties in a position description based on a person's expertise. So theoretically, if I were in the position, and let's just say it was to be a customer service rep, but one of the other things that I really did well for the company was organize the gatherings, the parties. I also, went on my own and did what we call, maybe the cards and gift givings and all those things. If I turn around and put that in the position description, that would suggest that no matter who would hold this job would do it. So it's not the things that I do because I'm either good at and I like to do, it's the things that are corely connected and related to the job that we're talking about, right? So I just wanted to take that little pause there and make sure when we talk about position, we're talking about positions versus people. And so the PD position description should accurately and completely describe the permanent duties and responsibilities that are assigned and performed. And I thought that was really important too, because it helps us think about not the one-offs, not the things that I do on occasion, but these are the permanent duties that should be performed. And so these are the work assignments that are, again, predominant, permanent, and recurring. So a position description is not intended to cover every kind of work assignment. Now, many of us, because we are small, maybe you don't have HR in your organization. And so as a supervisor, you may have the responsibility of creating some of these. And there are a lot of great templates on social media, on different platforms that you can use. Oftentimes, I tell people, look at what other people are saying about similar jobs, whether you find that job on Indeed, LinkedIn, or wherever, because that can help you structure it. But beyond what's in those, that to me is just going to help you figure out the categories and what belongs in those. And so a question that is often asked, and I've seen this in dealing with, discrimination cases, employee grievances, is oftentimes employees think that if it's not in my position description, I don't have to do it. So let me clear that up really quick. The answer to that is not correct. Again, everything that you need to do or have to do will not be in the position description. Again, the position description is focusing on, as we just said, the predominant, permanent, and recurring things, which means there could be some one-off, some isolated responsibilities that a manager may ask you and you would be required to do. So the purpose of having these documents is helping us in our organizational structure determine appropriate classifications and levels for positions. So, we need to talk about in the document the major goals of the position. But again, it doesn't modify a supervisor or the person in authority from giving us or giving the employee more things to do. Now, if it is accurate, and I call, it will help the employee know exactly what's expected of them and clearly define the work that's going to be performed in relation to the overall goals of the work unit. And it can also be a great document to help us figure out, as maybe training officials or those who approve training, what training needs and criteria would be required as we think about evaluating a person's performance. And so some things that we definitely want to make sure that we think about in the definitions or things that we put into the position descriptions. So when we talk about goals, that is specifically like what's going to be the outcome of the person doing what they do, the work activities. So those are the goals. The goals are not that they work, it's the result or the product of the work. And then when we think about those activities, those are the specific tasks. So how will they accomplish the work? So will I travel 3 to 5 days a week? Will I, cold call 100 clients a day? That's the activity, and the result would be in order to obtain a sales amount of XYZ. Another thing we talk about in performance position descriptions is the percentage of time. And so as we look at a person's job in totality for any given year, typically we should be looking at the rating year. What percentage of time will they spend working on these particular goals or activities? So if one particular thing takes up, 50% of my time, then the other things that are in there should, add up to another 50. This can be important because sometimes we have people doing similar things, but the weight or the amount of time that they do it may vary. And some duties may be more complex and require more knowledge, skills, and abilities than others. And that could be a great place where we differentiate pay scales and how to come up with bonuses and things like that. And then we talk about level of supervision in the position description. That part should be clear, right? So sometimes we use the phrase close supervision, which basically says that this work is performed according to detailed instructions and supervision and is available on short notice. So that means basically the employee is being closely monitored, checked on, supervised, and their work product is being delivered very quickly. If we use the term limited supervision, then we're talking about the employee or the incumbent using their own initiative while still complying with the policies, practices, and procedures prescribed. And the supervisor typically is only answering questions on the more important phases of the work. And then the phrase general supervision, that is where we are saying that this person is operating in a level of autonomy. So they do their work independently and they seldom refer matters to the supervisor. But when they do, it's really just to get clarification on some things. And so people can be doing the same level of work and not be paid the same as a result of one person is under more general supervision and one is close. The autonomy piece is allowing the main supervisor the ability to step away and put their efforts in other places. But if I have to give you close supervision, then you're not at that same level. So if we talk about being a novice and then being fully competent and perhaps being an expert, so there are degrees within that same level. And so just under even standing, what is the expectation for that level of that position and does it afford itself to be divided up can help you also figure out, again, pay bands as well as, different levels of classification within. And then, of course, we can use this same document to create performance metrics, because I think that's really key as well. Understanding what we're measuring and then how it's going to be measured and how frequently, we and things like that we can do. My phone is always ringing with these crazy calls. But anyway, so these are just some things that you can think about as a supervisor. And so the last thing I'd like to leave you with, and again, to get more detail, feel free to go to IBGR Network Radio. Or ibgr.network, I guess would be the more accurate. But you should revisit these kind of documents with some frequency. As I said at the beginning of this segment, so often we don't touch the job descriptions until we need to update them to advertise them or announce them, or someone else is moving into the job. I have worked with entities, organizations, and literally some of the PDs were not updated for over 20 years. And so to say that it was quite an undertaking would be an understatement. But it's like your strategic plan, your business plan, your operating plan, your employee handbook, all these things that are written, they're not for the shelf, right? So we got notebooks behind me, or I guess the other way, right? Don't do that with your documents. Revisit them and have a schedule of review and update. And so as you do that, it'll better equip you to ensure that the position description accurately reflects the duties. And the last thing I'll say about a position description, and this is maybe the thing you really want to focus on if you haven't been motivated yet to just get it right, is the fact that often when employees file complaints, whether that's EEOC, a grievance, labor relations, or things like that, one of the first documents those investigating will ask you about is the position description, because they want to know what were the core duties, goals, expectations, autonomy levels, and things like that of an employee. So you're trying to terminate someone and saying, they don't know their job well, but your job description surely states that it's under close supervision. So, how are you going to define that? Or perhaps you've rated them poorly or let them go because they're failing to keep up with this new technology, but none of that is in the PD, because the last time you reviewed it, you were talking about facsimiles, right? And I'm not saying we don't still have faxes. I'm sure somebody does, but I can't tell you the last time I used a fax machine. And so you want to put yourself as a supervisor and your organization in the best light possible and to be most effective in being able to address the questions that will be posed in the event someone files a complaint. Now, it doesn't mean they're going to win, but still, it can create some uncertainty in your mind because once you start reading this before you turn it over, you get concerned. I know I would. So as a result of that, it's important that their top quality position descriptions, and we always must consult the employee. We need to bring other people into the conversation because the way we see things is not the only way. And we want buy-in, we want collaboration, and we want accuracy. Because again, the stronger and the more quality the position descriptions are, the better off we are in our recruitment, in our performance metrics, in our, even if we have to terminate someone, and in the event that there is some kind of investigation. So I hope for those of you, and again, for a lot of you, you may find this a little too technical, but guess what? As was said to me today during the radio show, these are the things about managing that aren't sexy, right? So this is the stuff nobody wants to do, but it's crucial as supervisors that we do it. So thank you for watching. I hope it's added some value. If you have any questions, feel free to post them. I would love to assist you in any way I can. I leave you with, of course, have a great weekend. For many of us, it is a long weekend because Monday is Labor Day. But I always encourage you guys to stay safe and healthy. Remember to social distance and do all those other things if you believe in that. If you're around me, I'm going to need you to do it anyway. But, or I'll just leave, we're not going to argue about it. But, because I actually did a training today in person, and I so love working with this team because guess what? Everybody had on masks. And we social distance and didn't sit next to each other and do things like that. So there is a way to bring some normalcy back and do so in a way that's safe for us all. So everybody have a great weekend. I hope I've helped in some way. And for those of you who are not interested in position descriptions, we'll see you on Monday with maybe something that's a little bit more appealing to your palate. Take care, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye.